What's up, welcome back to Nostalgia. Dave here with a review of ITZY's 10th EP, Girls Will Be Girls. ITZY has largely struggled with consistency release to release, but I think their 10th EP, Girls Will Be Girls, is one of their strongest in some time. This is interesting, it is experimental, and holds your attention despite a short runtime. This feels like ITZY largely iterating on the success of Born to Be and looking beyond the relative failure of Gold. The music is very energetic, there's rock influences, there's electro house. It's really doing a lot, and I think it's a great showcase of modern day K-pop maximalism, which is great because we often get so much staid Western leaning pop these days from K-pop, so it's a welcome change. Member Leah also made a big impression vocally in ways I wasn't expecting, which is awesome given the hiatus she had taken from the group. Track 1, Girls Will Be Girls, very energetic verses. I thought Leah and Rujin in particular on those verses really jumped out. Kiss and Tell, definitely an electro house song. This is pretty cool. Honestly, the bass is bumping. These verses are fast. I think it's a great fit for ITZY. You know, I think ITZY has maybe alluded to stuff like this on some of their Japanese songs, and I found their Japanese output to largely be excellent, even though it doesn't get quite the same attention as their Korean music does, unsurprisingly. But they've always been great at this type of stuff, and it's cool to hear it, like them really diving in on a song like this. Locked and Loaded, this one's interesting because it's a downshift in the sense that it's not a house song anymore, but the energy still stays very high on these verses. You have this guitar and these like distorted drums on the chorus. Yeji, unsurprisingly, very powerful with her singing. The second verse, though, Leah and Yuna are spazzing. You know, when I first heard it, I thought it was just Yuna, but I was surprised to hear Leah basically doing rap. As far as ITZY's style of it goes, I thought it was awesome. And then you have this guitar solo outro, which is very big, unsurprisingly. Promise, I think the keys sound good on this. You also get some kick drum. It's definitely a slower track, but it almost reminded me of like a Disney song, but like in a good way. Like this is the song the town folk would be singing during the dance number in the movie. Never thought I'd say that about an ITZY track. And then the last song, Walk, electro again. I think the repetitiveness of the chorus is very unspectacular. That's also the problem with the track Girls Will Be Girls. Like if you just had better hooks on those two songs, they'd be even better. But still, Walk, the energy is very high. We're bouncing on the beat with these verses. I think the airy, like breathy vocals, not my favorite overall. But this is a good example of, you know, Rujin's like classic like attitude, personality that you hear from her. So yeah, only 5 songs. I think this type of sound from ITZY is ripe for a full-length album, and I think, you know, they've been experimenting, doing all kinds of stuff and trying to pick up the pieces and find some momentum, right? There's been releases that have been to varying degrees of rejected or just not as big as their early days, right? Stuff like you know, the Sneakers era, Cake era, Gold. You know, there's been ups and downs, but like I think if ITZY leaned into this, I think this is kind of bearing the fruit of a lot of their experimentation and genre choices, because I think they all really pop on this, and it's an interesting production. Vocally, it really grabs you, and I think this is what I want to hear from them. You know, I don't want to hear stuff like Imaginary Friend. I think this is them at their best, and this is the type of sound that will make them stand out amidst the, you know, HYBE hegemony that we're in the middle of right now with K-pop. So I'm rooting for this to continue. Let me know though, what'd you think of ITZY's 10th EP, Girls Will Be Girls? What was your favorite song? And for more music reviews or K-pop reviews, subscribe. And I'll see you next time.